recording. And so if you want to go ahead and tell us about your story and how you ended up signing up and like how your first few months went in the business, how you got to where you are now, etc. Go for it.
Okay. Well, hello, and thank you guys for having me tonight. I am really excited to share with you. And so for starters, I joined in July of 2015, so like almost 15 months ago. Prior to that, I was working about 50 to 60, sometimes more hours per week as a regional manager for Palm Beach Tan. I worked for one of their franchises in Alabama and down into Florida. And so I was managing 18 locations with 3 district managers directly under me. And traveling almost every day. I live in Auburn, Alabama, and I only had 2 local locations. And so I was traveling anywhere from an hour up to 4.5 hours every single day. The pay was good. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, I made decent money with that business, being in operations management. But it was never enough for us to get ahead. My husband and I have been married for 8 years. We had almost $100,000 in student loan debt. And that's just mine. That wasn't even adding in his 40 plus our car debt and plus, and so at the time, I guess around spring of last year, after I had Selah, our 3rd daughter, in January, I really felt led to try to find something to help us kind of snowball debt. We had been doing Dave Ramsey for several years, trying to budget and whatever, but we just never could really going towards anything because we were constantly having more kids and having to put them in daycare, and it was just really hard. I mean, just the 2, just Ellie and Selah, it was $1,300 a month. I mean, it was more than our mortgage. And so I felt like I was basically working to put my children in daycare. I was a teacher and a worship leader, but still, I mean, my pay was more. And so I had bought into the lies that I would never be a stay-at-home mom. I just made too much money, yet it still wasn't enough to get ahead on anything, So, but I guess around May, I started praying for an opportunity to come up that God would lead me to. And so, I remember it vividly. This is so crazy. I really remember. Sorry. But it was July 12th last year. It was on a Sunday afternoon. And we had come home from church, and I had been praying about it. And seriously, Susan Wade comes across my Facebook newsfeed. I had never seen her before, had no idea who she was, apparently because her posts are public, which I recommend you doing if you do not do that. Someone that I'm friends with had liked a post of hers, so it threw it on my newsfeed. And it was just her story. That was it. It was a selfie of her at like probably a green carpet or something, I don't know, and her story, and talking about how she was an Ambassador Diamond, 2.5 years in the company and all this. And I mean, I'll just be honest, she and I have joked about it, but I mean, I was like, if that can do this, I can do this. I'm like, I can do this. And so I started, of course, researching to see if she was a scam. I went to her Facebook profile, I went to her business page, whatever, and started researching the company. I mean, I spent probably up to about 3 hours that afternoon stalking Susan and stalking It Works. And so come to find out, obviously, I mean, my goals were to get out of debt. That was obviously what It Works was about, was getting people out of debt. And they were based off Christian principles, Christian morals. And so, I mean, I was just like, I really felt like God was answering my prayer. The downside to all of this is I had tried network marketing several years ago, right after Caleb and I got married, with a makeup company, and had failed miserably. I had no upline. I had no support. I had no training, no mentorship. I just literally bought a ton of inventory and thinking I was going to make millions of dollars with makeup, and literally just got rid of the last little bit of it like 2 months ago. I mean, it's been an ongoing thing. Like, just threw it away, literally. Just gave some away to charity and threw the rest away. I never could really get going. And so it was really hard to talk my husband into letting me do this. I'm just being honest. When I say that, I signed 5 days later. I mean, it was just constant talking, but I mean, I had in my head that I could do this. And so I let Caleb kind of watch some videos or whatever, and he was just like, I'll get, a few months. We'll just do this for a few months and we'll be done with it, basically is his thing. So I joined I joined directly with Susan. That was another big thing for me. I wanted to join with someone I knew wasn't going to flake. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think that, I'm going to try to tie these into principles I think that will help you. I think it's so important for the consistency of your business to make sure, because people are looking for a leader that they can follow. And I wanted to make sure that whoever I joined was not going to quit a month later or was not going to, not talk to me ever again, So I chose to go with her. I wanted a top earner. I wanted somebody. I mean, she's the first person I saw, so I felt like it was an answered prayer. So fast forward 2 weeks. And I mean, immediately when I joined, I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I literally had never heard of It Works before. So, I mean, it was not, there were no other people in my town doing it. It wasn't a big thing. I mean, it didn't even have people on my news feed. So for me, I knew it wasn't saturated. And I think that's part, most people's issues. They feel like just because they see 4 or 5 people on their news feed, they think it's saturated, but it's not. And so that whole first weekend, I joined on a Friday. I started working my business that following Monday. That whole weekend, all I did was YouTube. I didn't know. I mean, I got the startup email from Susan and I went straight through it, set up my GoDaddy. I was that person, I was like, let's do this. I'm green. I'm reading through everything. But I knew that because of my work schedule, there's no way I could have 6 parties a night like Ashley Olive. I just could not do it. I loved her wrap parties, but I could not do it. But I did commit to setting up a launch party. So I got my launch party set up in my first calendar month. My mom hosted it for me and nobody showed up. So she bought a wrap from me because she felt bad for me. But so I set up 2 other parties with people that I work with and got some loyals from those. But my first thing that I did was I started trying to figure out how to work social media because I knew that was the only way that I was going to be able to start branding myself. I had enough marketing sense to know I need to brand myself. So I started working before my kit came in. I had signed my first 4 loyals in the first week, and I did that through messaging on Facebook. I had not started reaching out to people that I did not know yet, so I think that was one of the questions, in the beginning, and then where do you go from there, with messaging? In the beginning, it was a heartfelt message. I did not have a script. I mean, Susan didn't send me scripts to use, you know what I mean? I just messaged people. It was basically working a hundreds list is what you could kind of look at it as. But I went through Facebook. I started out with about 1,600 friends on Facebook. So I realized not everybody has that many. But through the years I had accumulated. I mean, and I'm just that person. If I meet you, I'm putting you on Facebook anyway. So I had already been doing that. But I started messaging people and I always led with both. So what I would do is I would say, and it was time consuming. I was on vacation that first week. That whole first week of being in It Works, I was on vacation with my family and I was on my phone the whole time. But I was going to show my husband that I could do this. So I started messaging girls I went to high school with. I know that's so cliche, but I did not care. I did not care. So I started with, going to their profiles, looking over it, making sure that I at least had an idea of what was going on in their lives right now. And then I would just message them and say something like, hey, Kimberly, how are you? I've so enjoyed connecting with you on Facebook. I've so enjoyed watching, you have your kids are so cute, whatever I could compliment them on. And then I would just say, I'm sure you probably haven't noticed yet because I've just started, but I just joined an awesome health and wellness company, It Works Global. I'm looking for some product testers, but I'm also looking for some teammates. Have you ever considered, making extra money like I'm going to be doing? And so, and then I would ask that, and then I would say, when would be a good time to chat? And so I always left it open-ended. And I mean, I got a ton of responses. Even some of them never went anywhere. And I would just talk to them about life in general. But I got a ton of responses. And so that's literally what I did my whole first week. I went through and messaged the people that I genuinely knew. I did that first. And then they went on a rotation of follow-ups. That's all I heard from Jade Hooper was following up weekly, follow-up Friday. So I was like, girl, I'm going to message you. I did not know what I was doing. I'm telling y'all, I did not know. It was blind. ignorance is what my first like 3 months was. But seriously, I went through about 2 weeks of initial messaging, and then I started following up, and I would scroll to the bottom of my Facebook messages and I would start messaging them either with like an offer, like, hey, I'm just checking in with you, but I wanted to let you know I have 2 spots open on my 90-day challenge for greens. They're only $33 a month. Are you interested? I can't tell you how many people I signed 2 and 3 months down the road that I had been doing that to weekly. So the follow-up truly is very important, very important. The bulk of my enrollments, my distributor enrollments from January to March this year were from 6 months of work of following up. And so, if you have fallen off from following up or fallen off from sending initial lead messages, or, if you're a person that does in person, maybe you do wrap parties, or maybe you do, expos or whatnot, make sure that you're following up consistently, whatever that means for you, whatever that looks like for you. If you and Chelsea want to get together and come up with a plan, that's one thing I was most concerned about is, Lord, please don't let me tell them to do something that she's totally anti against. But anyways, that's how I built my business. My first 2 months, my first 6 weeks, I did go Ruby. I personally enrolled 6 distributors, and I signed 28 loyal customers. So, it was there. So it was a lot of hard work. But that was my goal, was to get to the $500 mark. And I did it by August 31st. So a lot of my team, going into this season feels like, it's so slow, it's so whatever. But I promoted to Diamond in November of last year. So I know that this is promotion season. And I always tell people, if your team is on fire, if you have momentum, you do not slow it down. If I had tried to stop my team from promoting so that I could get a bonus, I would have not. I don't know where I'd be right now. But if you've got momentum, guys, you got to keep it moving right now. And the only way to get momentum is to start it. Start, posting consistently, messaging, setting our parties, whatever. But I went Ruby in August of last year. And then September, I went Emerald. At that point, and during those 2.5 months, I had 6 wrap parties personally. But then when I would enroll a new distributor that was, and I'm talking about semi-local, I would drive 1.5 hours to 2 hours to somebody. You may not be willing to do that. I was, because I felt confident in my product knowledge that I could close a loyal, So I had 5 other launch parties that they committed to. Some people didn't want to do one. You can't make people do one. I get that. But I always launched new distributors. And the longer it went into the fall last year, I would launch non-personally enrolled people too. I didn't care. I would drive, 45 minutes to Phoenix City, just because I knew if I get in front of people, I can at least 3 out of 4. I'm going to get 3 out of 4, on something, So, and it was important to me because I had goals. I needed to promote. Technically I probably could have gone Diamond in October, but from a business standpoint, from my chart, I decided to start from scratch. I signed a rock star on September 17th last year, exactly 2 months after I joined. Her name's Jessica Zimmerman. She's a double diamond on my team. And she and I went double diamond the same month. So it tells you, she was a runner. And so I really felt strongly about her being my emerald for my diamond. So I completely wiped it clean and ran with her to diamond. And so we promoted to diamond in November. And I was fully charted for double by the end of December. So from there, it just was a whirlwind. Other than just messaging consistently and posting, because all that planting I had done through this time last year, I reaped fully. I remember, at conference, I was a diamond, fully charted. My volume just did not hit in January. And I feel like that was God blessing us, because bonuses came out the next month. So we went double in February and earned the $30,000 double good bonus. And then I went triple in March the following month. And one thing I do like to say to people, and I know, again, it's just a perception thing, but because people always backlash, well, that was March. Well, and it's August now or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's October and we've got good bonuses out. But at the beginning of March, I was 16 distributors from Triple. And I was telling my husband, there's no way. I'm just going to just keep trucking. We're just not going to get this double bonus. And he just kept speaking life into me. It was like, that is not the attitude to have. Like, if you wake up every morning and say that, then that's what's going to happen. And so I literally would wake up and say, I'm going Triple this month. Like, I'm earning $50,000. Like, I don't care what I have to do. Like, who am I messaging today? Who am I talking to? Who am I going to the grocery store and blitzing? And I do wear my gear every single This is a pregnancy shirt, just in case you were wondering. That's a 7-month pregnant belly. Whew. So, that was really important to me was speaking those affirmations over my business, and especially during that month, during a promotion month. And I personally enrolled 9 of those 16, and we went Triple that month. So, anything can happen. But I think, letting defeat creep in too early. I've seen things happen in the last 24 hours of a business day of a month that blew my mind, so I think just staying very positive and working up until literally the last minute, is the way to go. So, do you have any?
Yeah. So I have questions. Okay. So after you went through your list, can you hear me? Can y'all hear me? Can you hear? Okay. Are you good?
Yes. Sorry, I'm having to tell them to get out. They're like fighting.
I was like, I don't know if she's ready. After you went through your list of people that you knew, how did you expand and find new people? Did you do Instagram, Facebook, like friends of friends? Like, how did you find the people in your cold market that you didn't know before you joined?
Yeah. Okay, so immediately once I say immediately, probably a month into the business, I realized I need more friends on Facebook. Like I needed more. And I have built primarily from Facebook. I work Instagram daily. I message on Instagram, but the bulk of my business has come from Facebook and from people that I originally knew and people that they knew, if that makes sense. So I immediately started going through like friends of girls I went to high school with. I would go to their friends. I would go to the suggested. And if I had at least 20 friends in common with you, I was adding you if you looked like a prospect. And so I'm just being real. But I'm not one of those that would like get the accepted friend request and then immediately message you. Like that is spammy to me. I did not do that. I do use Facebook lists. I don't know if you guys use friend lists, but I do. And so I had created different lists, potential loyals, potential distributors, and new friends. And so when I would get an accepted friend request, I would filter them into that new friends list to where I could go to that feed only 2 to 3 times a day and interact with those people, whether it be comment, like, whatever, just to gain. So I knew I was interacting with new people. Once they had been on there for about a month, I would put them into whatever category I was going to start messaging about. Does that make sense?
I love that.
And so, but anyways, and I'm not like green, but I have enough green that like I did keep kind of like lists of these were my September new friends. So once I knew I had interacted with them enough, and honestly, I think it's a lead sheet originally Sydney Stapleton uploaded to Diamonds Are Forever, but it had like where you could check mark follow-ups like up to 14 times. And I printed that off, and that's what I used for my interactions. So after I had interacted or they had interacted with me at least 14 times, I was like, you're getting something. You're getting something. I'm like, hey, you got a cute kid. How you doing?
I love this idea. I love it.
It wasn't always just boom about the business. But now I will tell you, when Jade Hooper and her team did that training on like getting loyal customers back at the end of the spring, first of the summer. I don't know if any of you saw that, but I have a pinned post. Me and several of my girls watched that video. I think she has since taken it down, but I know Susan had notes put up about it. But there is a script of a, I guess you could call it a cold message or like an online blitz that one of her girls does on Instagram that we use now, that my team uses now. And our Instagram loyal customers have gone up from it. I can get that to you, Chelsea, if you want it, but
I would love that.
but it's so, and you can tweak the word. Like, I don't normally talk like this, but it's like, hey, love. I don't say love, but I changed that. But it's, it's like, hey, love. I'm looking for, it's like to the point. But on Instagram, they're a lot more warm. They can handle some cold messages like that. Facebook is not like that. Like, you've really got to do your interactions. But I always would try to like a couple of photos or comment, and then I would send the message. And it was always just, hey, I'm looking for some product testers, or I have a few spots left for my 40% discount on my 90-day challenge. Are you interested in looking over some products? It was very to the point. And I even put in my team page yesterday, I sent 50 of those messages yesterday. I just did 50. I could have kept going. They didn't block me. I did 50, but it took me 16 minutes. That's it, guys. Intentional focus of 16 minutes. I sent out 50 messages to my followers, not random people on Instagram, people that follow me and see me. And out of that, within the next 30 minutes, I had gotten 6 responses. I had 4 no thank yous and 2 what's the product. And I've got 2 loyals, one signing up tomorrow and one signing up Friday from that. And that's just from 50 messages. I'm not saying that may not be your ratio, that may not be your number or whatever, but I'm just saying, it works. But it doesn't take a ton of time to work this business if you set aside intentional time and you're focusing on income producing activities, so does that kind of answer your question?
Absolutely. I love that.
Okay.
So, let me see how to word this. So is it worth, okay, so this is what I think a lot of people struggle with. They see their first check and they think, I've done all this work and it's not big, but they don't realize that doing the exact same things for a month at a time makes your check increase so exponentially.
Yes.
And I think that it helps hearing that from people that have been there. So is it worth all the time you're putting in? Is it worth it to keep going when your check is small in the beginning? How do you get that vision?
Absolutely. Well, I think from the beginning, like I said, I didn't say this, but I'm very competitive. And when I saw what Susan Wade was making or saying she was making, I was like, I'm going to make that one day. And so for me, it was more about, I believed in the company. I believed that there truly were people out there making, $2,000 a month with this company, or $6,000 or $10,000 or obviously $30,000, And so I knew, and again, I think it's a mentality thing. Everyone is trained to be an employee. That is just the truth of the matter. We're all brought up to go to school, get a job, work for the rest of your life or whatever. So an employee mentality only looks at the short term. You're looking at your paycheck on Fridays or every other Fridays. A business owner looks at the long term. A business owner, and the only reason I knew this is because I worked directly under a business owner for 6 years as a regional manager, So I kind of had it in my brain going in that I may lose money my first 6 months. I don't know. I have no idea. But I truly looked at this business as a business instead of a part-time job. So for me, the fast money was my wrap cash. Like I said, I had 11 wrap parties in 2.5 months. That was coming from somebody who was like, I don't want to do wrap parties. But at the time I was like, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to promote. And I'll be honest, my first few checks were well below average and I kept telling my team, it's going to take time to catch up. The commissions have to catch up. We're promoting extremely fast. You know what I mean? We've got to continue building loyals, continue bringing on new distributors and teaching them the same thing. So, I never really got discouraged from it. I saw anything of growth as growth because that's what it is. My first check at the end of July to the end of August, it doubled. You know what I mean? And that's without at the time, it was a $500 Ruby bonus split in half. So, I had $250 on that check that was a bonus. And I took that off. I was like, that's not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about commissions. What did I make? You know what I mean? And so it doubled. And so for me, that was important. It did not have a comma in it. I didn't need a comma in it. I just needed to see growth. But if you're wanting, I tell my team all the time, if you're wanting fast money, really fast money, The two ways to do that is to wrap somebody or to enroll a distributor and help them find their first 2 loyal customers. Other than that, your commissions do take time to grow because it takes time finding those people that also have like-minded visions as you, you know. Not everybody comes into this wheels on fire, you know.
Okay, so what does your day look like? How many times a day do you post? How many messages do you send out? That kind of thing. How many people do you follow on Instagram? Like, whatever.
Okay, well, I will just admit I use Instagram for Instagram. I'm just being real.
Yeah.
But I did not use it in the beginning. I did not start using it until April, after I went triple. There you go. So I did not. And I actually shut my Instagram down at the last week of October last year. I had grown it from 200 followers to 2,700 followers in the course of end of July to end of October. I had a really weird scare, Middle Eastern man telling me he was going to kill me. So I like freaked out. I'm just being real with y'all right now. And I completely shut the Instagram down. Like, I'm talking about deleted my account. And after I did it, I bawled for like 24 hours because I was like, I have worked so hard. Because I followed 500 to 700 people a day. And I would do it in between breaks. So like, because I was still working full time. I worked full time up until mid-March, until after I went double. And I didn't even know I was going triple. So I would, in between breaks, I would follow 100 people. I would find online boutiques that I liked in different states, whatever. And I would go and I would follow anyone who looked like my demographic, like who I would want to be a loyal customer or a distributor. And then at night I would unfollow, so I would try to follow throughout the day, and then I would unfollow at least 100 to 300 at night. And I used, at the time I used, I don't remember, but just tracking apps. I used, InstaTrack, I think, is the one that I started with, but I use Cleaner now. For unfollowing. I do manually unfollow, but I do let Instagram follow for me, and I let it, so I usually pay for the 90 days up front. Okay. So a typical day, well, I'm at home now and I have 2 of my 3 children, and I'll be very honest. I feel like I was more productive when I worked full time. I'm just being honest. Like, I feel like because they're pulling on me all the time. I know Chelsea can relate, but, I try really hard to get in anywhere from 6 to 9 posts a day. That's my goal. I definitely try to do the 3-3 rule, 3 before and after or / product posts a day, and then 3 lifestyle posts a day. And if I can throw in anything extra, like tonight I was making white chicken chili, so I did a live video of how to put it on the crock pot. I'm really big on live videos. I think that they really get you exposure. So I try to do 2 to 4 a month. And I do, I'm probably gonna, y'all can use my idea too, I don't care, whatever, but I'm probably going to do one like while we're at the beach, like taking my makeup off or something, like putting on a facial or something, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to do like and I know that, and I already had the idea for it. I saw Carrie Bauer did it last night or the night before. Like, whatever. But anyway, so I like live videos, and so I try, and I encourage my team to do at least 2 to 4 a month. You don't want to overkill. Some people like to go live like every day, and that might be a little much, but it increases your interaction. So at least 6 to 9 times a day. And then as far as messaging, I try to message. Obviously, I message everyone who likes my posts on Instagram or Facebook that are not already in the business, because obviously we boost each other's posts, that kind of thing. But then I don't really have a set number. I just kind of work for a set amount of time. Does that make sense? And the only reason I knew I did 50 yesterday is because I was like, I'm going to message for 15 minutes and see how many I can get done. And then when I got done, I counted and I had done 50. But I try to do that 4 times a day. Sometimes it's not as intentional as that, but I try to set aside 15 minutes 4 times a day of messaging. And it is mostly on Instagram. And then I have just now started back on my Facebook because I really feel more comfortable now. I've grown some friends, that kind of thing.
And I think people don't realize you can do 15 minutes when you're like getting ready in the morning, when you're in the bathroom, if you're riding in a car and you're not driving, if you're taking a bath at night. There's so many times that you have that 15 minutes a day that you're not even realizing it,
Yeah.
You're watching TV or whatever.
Right. Exactly. And I think, if you're not interacting with your children and you're not interacting with your husband and there's nothing, I'm sorry, laundry can wait 15 minutes. If you're trying, I'm just being real. I'm just keeping it real. Unless you're like really OCD, then go ahead and do your laundry. But I mean, that's when you do it. And I'm glad you mentioned being in the car because, like, every Wednesday when we go to church, my husband drives, and I mean, that's just what I do on the way. I mean, it's a 20-minute ride to our church. So, I mean, I message while we're in the car. And it's silence for me, but I mean, he knows. I mean, I'm marking it's not like I'm totally ignoring, but that's just something he and I have decided, So he helps me out a lot, though. And I know spousal support is really important.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody has that. But I think keeping open communication is really important, too. Like, if you are just aimlessly scrolling on Facebook, like, that's not income producing. I'm just going to be real and call it like it is. I mean, if you are truly sitting there, coming up with new posts or messaging people trying to set up wrap parties or messaging for some wrap appointments or whatever, interacting with your team, if you're a leader or whatever, then that's one thing. But if you're just sitting there and scrolling just because you've now formed a habit, I mean,
you're not doing anything.
You're wasting time, and then you're going to get discouraged when your check doesn't grow.
So I think you kind of answered this as far as like posting, messaging people when you're promoting, doing wrap parties. What would you say to a leader who maybe they're enrolled, or anyone that had enrolled for a while and then their enrollments have slowed down, but they feel like they're doing everything the same? Is there anything you can say, like, what can they do to change it up, or anything extra they could do that they aren't already doing? It probably could be that their warm market is run out and they don't know their cold market. They haven't turned warm market yet, but is there anything extra that you can think of when you're really pushing? Like, what do you do to go above and beyond?
Do you want me to be real? Okay.
Yes, real as can be.
Because I've been in this boat over the summer, you might not be doing everything that you were doing in the beginning. I'll just call it like it is. I mean, you think you are, because you think you are, but are you really messaging as many people with the intensity? Are you still showing the passion through your posts? Are you copying and pasting a lot of posts? I'm just asking questions right now. You know what I mean? Like, think through what you are doing, because that's what I had gotten caught up doing, and my enrollments dropped. I had another leader that happened to. Just taking the easy road, so to speak, making sure my posts were there, but there weren't a ton of like thoughtful ones, and so I think evaluating your business from a very critical standpoint, like, are you truly interacting enough? Are you truly sending enough messages? If what you're sending isn't getting any response, then who can you talk to maybe get a different type of message? Or, if you truly are sending messages, then send screenshots to Chelsea and show her what you're doing so that she can give you tips. You know what I mean? Like, that was one of the things that I did with Susan. I was like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I'm not enrolling anybody. Like, I don't know what to do. And so, I mean, I was like, here, this is what I've been doing, But on the flip side of that, when I would ask some leaders that, and they would send me screenshots, it would have been, a week ago. They were from 2 weeks ago. That's not consistency. And the potion to this whole business, network marketing, is consistency in everything. It is what it is. But I mean, you've got to get in a routine of some sorts. I just read the Compound Effect, and it was so good. It was so good. If you have not read it by Darren Hardy, it's so good. And he talks about just introducing one new habit into your lifestyle, a positive, habit that's going to be either income, it could be anything, like whether it's exercise or eating healthy or whatever, but specifically for this business, what is one thing that you are lacking on right now that you can think? I mean, I knew I was not messaging enough. I knew I was posting consistently and I could tweak that, but I knew over the summer that I was not getting in. And when I picked that back up again, I started completing my steps to success again. So, I mean, I had really not had any problems with loyals, but distributors I was struggling with. And I feel comfortable saying that to y'all. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we all struggle sometimes.
And I was actually doing the exact opposite. I was getting distributors and no loyals. And I like, when this contest happened, I went through and started messaging people about being product testers, and I got 3 loyals in a day. And I was like, you know what? It's all about what you're messaging them, and you have to have that balance. And I really was just targeting distributors. And if I didn't think they'd be a good fit on my team, I didn't message them at all, instead of presenting them with the loyal customer opportunity. And so I think that you have such a good point about that. Like, it's just what you're like really gearing toward.
Yeah. Yeah, my focus just I was not making time for messaging. And that literally is the key to this business if you're working it through social media. You've got to find a way to message without being spammy. It's just really the only way I know how to work it. I mean,
does anyone have any questions that they want to unmute themselves or type in the chat? I know you have kids and you need to go, so I'm trying to be
no, it's fine. I think my husband's.
Does anyone have any questions? So somebody that hasn't been working and they're about to go for it, either they're new or they've taken a break, what do you tell them to just start doing tomorrow? Posting, messaging?
Posting.
Yeah.
I mean, at least posting. I mean, because you want your target. I mean, you want your audience to start seeing you again. You know, we've actually just had a lot of this happen. We've had several people come back in that have been basically MIA for like 4 to 6 months, and you think they're just gone. And my first thing to you is get back posting. Find what works for you, but don't make excuses about it. I mean, you know, a lot of people, even when they're brand new, they say, you know, I don't feel comfortable posting 6 times a day. Well, do you feel comfortable with your paycheck staying the same? I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, I wasn't comfortable with it either. Before I joined this business, I literally was like a 1 to 2 a month post type person, you know? And I mean, starting that Monday, it was like 6. I mean, I was 3. I mean, that 3 days after I joined. And I mean, it was very intimidating and you're just throwing yourself out there. But I mean, that's also the mark of, are you in it? Are you in it? Because I mean, if you're going to go all in, then you got to show people that you are. And just like I said at the beginning, I chose my leader. I chose my sponsor from a standpoint of, she's not dipping on me. And I know this because she's been consistent with her business, you know, and honestly, there's people that will join people I know, but they join someone local that they know, that's even on my team because they watch them on Facebook and they're consistent. You know what I mean? So gaining consistency through that, at least for a few days. I mean, you know what I mean? So that people know that you're back in it. And you may even want to do a relaunch post, to be honest. If you've been out for a long time, you may want to do that, you know, I mean, people understand. Life gets in the way, whatever, but you're back working your It Works business. You're looking for 4 product testers this week, whatever. And then start posting consistently. And then start messaging. I mean, you're going to have to.
Okay.
I talked about growing your network, but that is so important. You know, setting a goal of X number of new friends on Facebook. Yeah, I don't know how y'all primarily grow. I mean, I'm assuming Facebook, but I mean, Chelsea, I think you work Instagram pretty good.
I'm like 50-50.
So definitely making sure, you know, I'm in several like different mom groups. I'm in a Trim Healthy Mama group. It's like a eating lifestyle group, whatever. I have different like, again, online boutiques that are on Facebook that I'll go to, and you'll see their sponsored ads that have like 10,000 likes. I will go add those people as friends. I'm just saying, like, that's what I do. And so I have a lot of people that I interact with now that I have 0 friends in common with, 0, that I'm starting to build relationships with online. So I hope that kind of sort of answered.
Yes.
I mean, posting is big. I mean, and if you've never had a launch party, or if it's been months since you've even done a wrap party, I would suggest getting one scheduled in the next 7 to 10 days. I mean,
can you see the little chat on the side? They're sending questions to you. Can you see that?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Define wrap someone. You mentioned that earlier. I don't know what context I was talking about. I'm sorry. Are you talking about like when I would message people to like wrap them?
I don't know what that was about.
Define wrap. Christy, define wrap someone. You mentioned that earlier. I don't know. I may have to come back to that. Christy, give me. Oh, yes. Okay. So on Facebook, you can go. Sorry, I got a little one coming in. You can go to this More tab. Sorry, let me dim it. Hang on just a second, baby.
I want you to open my bottle of water.
Okay. Let me open this water Please do not spill it on my bed. There you go. Thank you. Okay. So I don't know if you can see okay, whatever. You go to your more there's a little more section over here. And then you can scroll down to your, sorry, let me find it. Okay. Sometimes you'll have to hit see more, but you're going to go to the feeds. I don't know if y'all can see that. Feed. And then it will clump people based off location sometimes. So you see how I can go to like Auburn, Alabama area. And so it's going to pull up a news feed that is only people that live in Auburn, Alabama. So I go through there and so like Melanie Ray, I would just click on her and I would message her and I would say, hey girl, I'm looking to wrap 3 people this week for $25. Are you interested in me wrapping you? I would love to meet you somewhere, whatever the message is, you know what I mean? But like, that's what I do to find local people that I've randomly added that I don't know. And so, and you can set up wrap appointments like that. You can set up wrap parties like that too. That if they're like skittish to just randomly meet you, you could offer to do a free spa party if they can get 4 friends with them or whatever. So that may be something you could do to like get some wraps on people this week or next week.
I love that. Okay, so Lindsay asked, how many DTs messages do you send a day?
I mean, I kind of do what you do. Like if somebody's profile on Instagram kind of looks like it's somebody I would want on my team, I just message them. So I don't know the number. I just kind of that's ugly, but I kind of like stereotype people.
I do the same thing. Because I've got to where I would rather have, I just told somebody this Saturday, I haven't even told the team yet, but I realized that in the beginning, I really targeted people that I wasn't intimidated by because I felt like I'd get a yes. I was more likely to get a yes. But what I realized is I would rather have go for the no's and just put myself out there and have the really amazing, successful people on my team than what I had done. I mean, I didn't do that in the beginning. I mean, the ones that are here that I targeted are the ones that are successful and that I was intimidated to message. But all the ones that I wasn't scared to message and whatever, none of them stuck around because they weren't really into the long-term success of the company. I don't know how to describe what I'm saying, but I think it's like really important to go for those that you think will be successful, that even if they do intimidate you, even from the beginning, instead of waiting until you're comfortable. And I all the time will be looking on Facebook and Instagram and I'll see someone that I think is really awesome. Even though they intimidate me, that's when I really try to make sure I message them right then and don't even wait until later. Like as soon as I see a post that I think that was a great post, or look at how many people like this, or look how positive it is, whatever it is. If I see potential, and I do it right then.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, I typically will always lead with the product. There's some people that always lead with the distributor opportunity. If I get a no on a product message, then I will typically flip it because most of the time they're giving me an objection, that they don't have the money for it or they don't need it or whatever. Those are the 2 most big. I don't need that. I don't whatever. And I'm like, girl, everybody needs a wrap. I don't know what you're talking about. But most of the time, especially on Instagram, I'll get, I just got this today. The girl was like, I work full time and I go to school full time and I work 24 to 30 hours a week. I don't have time to be a product tester. I was like, oh my God, like you need to join my team. Like, what are you talking about? And so I will flip it. You know what I mean? So most of the time, unless someone like really catches my eye that I think really could work this business, I lead with the product and then move into talking about distributor. So
I love that because it just shows like everyone can have different approaches and still be really successful, and like I think it's so important for people to know that they can find something that even though they're not comfortable with it, but that they are good at, and that they can whatever. So do you schedule your post or did you when you work? Because I just had a teacher say that she doesn't have time to post that many times a day.
Yes. I used Buffer up until, and I mean, there's weeks that I'll even use it now. I mean, just because it's hard for me to get in on my posts. And my team was really hardcore Buffer. That was something I taught from the beginning. Like when I first joined, that's the only way I could get them in because honestly, it was the only way that my boss would let me work my business. Because I was a regional manager. There were district managers, salon managers, salon employees, friends with me on Facebook watching me post all day. You can only imagine, you know what I mean? And so I literally had to show him that I had a scheduling app that I did this at night and it just fired off throughout the day, all day, every day. So yeah, I mean, that's what I did. At night after my kids would go to bed, my husband would either watch TV or he'd be laying in the bed next to me, and I would just set up my post for the next day. And I mean, at first, I was trying to do the 6 to 9 a day. But now when November hit and I was trying to go diamond from November until about April, it was every hour to hour and a half. And it took a while to set up my post, but I needed to post more frequently to hit more target markets. So
is that Facebook and Instagram, or was that?
That was on both. I mean, anything that's just the way I work my business. Whatever I post to Facebook, I just post to Instagram because I do not have the same, because like I told you, I shut my Instagram down. I started completely a brand new Instagram account on October 29th last year. And so I've grown that to almost 4,500 followers since then. But when I did that, I intentionally did not let it add a bunch of people from Facebook because I did not want the same people seeing my posts all day, every day, you know? So, I feel comfortable using the same material. Some people like to do different stuff, you know, between Facebook and Instagram, but yeah, I hate that you can't like truly pre-schedule posts for Instagram, but I kind of kept a mental note of like when it was going to be loading. And so I would just copy and paste it into Instagram. But I say that you can also do setting it on airplane mode at night and loading your posts and then firing it off throughout the day that way too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there any other question? This has literally been so helpful. Thank you so much. Everyone's like texting me saying that they're so thankful. And I've never used Buffer. So I love that. I just started Instagram. So that's really good to know. And then I didn't know about lists. So you taught me like 3 things tonight I had no idea about. So I want to hire my leader instead.
No. Hey, one more thing I'm reading this Lindsay Baxter question and going back to those distributor messages. Sometimes I do spend my 15 minutes and I send but I don't send a typical, because I'm typically, we'll just call it cold messaging. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, whatever. On Instagram. What I'll do is I'll go through and I'll like a few pictures or whatever, just so I show up on their notifications, and then I'll message them. And this is truly for people that I want on my team. This is not like nothing but graphics all over their page. You know what I mean? They're getting a loyal customer message, but I'll send them something like, hey, whatever the name is. If I see their name, I'll use it. But most of the time I'll just say, hey lady, I love your feed. It is so positive, or whatever compliment I can give them on their feed. And then I'll say, you would be awesome at what I do. I don't even make a question out of it. I'm like, you would be awesome at what I do. And I send it. And I'm telling you, I get the most responses from that because the first thing they're going to ask me is, what do you do? And then I have a script that I send, and I'm just like, I'm a distributor, or I'm a rep for It Works Global. It's a health and wellness company. I've built my business through social media. I think you have a great feed. I think you have a great presence. I'd love to show you how to make money from your phone. Are you interested? And then from there, they'll either say yes or no, and then I can start going over the distributor stuff. So that's a different kind of avenue I've used as well in the past.
I love that. So that's kind of like what I kind of usually leave with something like that. And then if they say no, I usually say, well, I think that you might change your mind if you try these products and fall in love with them. Is there one that I could tell you about? Here's 3 of my favorites. Do any of these interest you, or something like that, you know? And I flip it like that. Exactly.
Thank you.
So, oh my goodness, you've been so helpful. Everybody's saying thank you. They loved it. So I'm going to record this and I'll send it to you in case you want to share it, because it was so good. And I just absolutely love it. And I really appreciate you taking the time to invest in us. And I know
you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Life, but we really appreciate it. So thank you so much for coming on.
All right. Bye.